I'll just begin by dropping into my body for a moment. I encourage you to do the same. Taking a few breaths allows me to be more present. And so I do this also as a readiness to listen to others. So I can take in the information a little better. So you might even want to check into your own breath. Maybe you haven't felt it yet this morning. And so I thought I'd share a little bit about what really helped me shift from survival mode with my brain injury to a mode of more moving more towards enjoying life and thriving. So here's a little story I'd like to tell. So how many years back was this? I think it's been 5 years now. What happened was, so this is a 20-year anniversary for me, which sounds weird, of actually, it's not from my first brain injury. It's actually from the first time I realized that my brain was injured, where I started having symptoms. It's been 20 years now. But it took a good 10 years before I even started to get real about it and start really talking about it. Actually, just being real with myself about the fact that I would have to change my life. But about 5 years ago, things got really escalated. I started having a lot of seizures, and I had a near-death experience. I was up at a meditation retreat. I was meditating for 2 weeks and I ended up at the hospital because I nearly died from having seizures up there. Anyways, I was at the doctor. He's like, I'm not sure. I'm glad you're here. It looks like you're stable now. It looks like you're just having these atypical seizures. From what I'm getting, you're pretty happy up at this meditation center, and you're probably going to be more stressed here at this hospital, so maybe you should go back up to the hospital. So it's like, okay, I'll go back up to the hospital, to the meditation center. Maybe you should go back up to the meditation center. So I did. So when I got back up there, the main teacher, wanted to talk with me, and he asked, he's like, Annie, how do you do this? How do you live with this much pain on a daily basis? Because the way that this brain injury manifests for me is that I have migraine. It's 24/7, and I have for 17 years now. And so I have lots of time to think at a meditation center. And so this is what I came up with, and this is what I want to share with you today. The 5 things that help me live a joyful life even with pain. So the first thing that's been really, really helpful for me is knowledge. So the fact that I now know a lot about how the brain works, how my nervous system works, that I understand more about trauma, about just all of this, that I can actually visualize what's happening, has been insanely helpful. So knowledge itself is a healing tool. So knowledge is my number one thing. And also just nature of mind, all of these things. It's been huge for me to learn. So I'm continuously learning. And that's just, it creates this curiosity and fascination for what's happening for me also. It normalizes my experience, allows me to stay human with everything that's happening for me, so I can stay out of judgment. And that's really helpful. So knowledge is huge, is a huge way for me to stay joyful. 2 is daily practice. I talk to my clients about this sometimes, that I literally some days have to like crawl to my yoga mat. Like I don't want to go there, but I do. I show up anyway. So having this sort of daily practice to show up to on a daily basis is really important. So for me, it's often been yoga and meditation. But I read tarot every morning too. There's lots of different things that we can show up for. Maybe it's gardening, maybe it's some form of art for you, but something that you constantly show up to. And what that's cultivating is a kind discipline, a gentle discipline, you know, and that's what we want to cultivate. This way of continuously showing up to ourselves and exploring what's there. So 2, practice, daily practice. 3, this one's huge, and I'm super lucky because I live in Nelson and I live in the mountains and I'm near the lake, and so 3 is nature. Nature is so fucking powerful. My friend, every time I feel claustrophobic and in despair with this pain, she says, just go outside, go feel something bigger than yourself. And so it works every freaking time. It just does. Nature has this way of just reminding us that it's not a big deal, you know, that it's holding us. I don't know, there's just, you know what I'm talking about. Nature heals. It does. It's really important. And so if you find yourself in a concrete jungle, there's always some form of nature that we can tap into, if it's just looking up at the sky or anything that you can feel into, some form of nature around you, find it, tap into it, have reverence for it. So, and then 4 is actually almost everything for me. It's connection. And so, in community, I always joke, if we could just put connection in pill form, then there'd be a cure for everything. So sometimes, you know, pain is extremely isolating in nature. It's actually a very human experience to disconnect. When we're in pain, it's actually how we survive. You know, our brains are like, it's a little extreme. Let's disconnect for a little bit so you can get through this. But what happens is our nervous systems are so out of whack that we have trouble coming back and reconnecting. So it's very important to have this practice of connection and to cultivate communities of that hear us and feel us and understand us. So sometimes that connection is through nature. That's what I do first. I have trouble connecting with other little humans. It's too much. Then, you know, I also have my little therapy dog, Tia. She's amazing. I have a sense of connection with her all the time. Sometimes it's connecting through creative energy and creating, you know, drawing or playing music or connecting that way. Or it's, you know, it's being of service to others, which is this amazing feeling. However, you know, I run chronic pain support groups and other things like that, and I have this women's group every Tuesday that blows my mind. I think about it now and my heart's warm. So however we can reconnect is huge. Huge. Okay, number 5 is my favorite, and this resonates with a lot of people because it's forgotten all of the time. Number 5, for those that just joined, I'm talking about the 5 things that allow me to live a joyful life even with pain. So number 1 was knowledge. Number 2, daily practice. Number 3, nature. Number 4, community connection. Number 5, wait for it, ridiculousness, playfulness, silliness. This like healing journey gets so goddamn serious. It's so serious because it is. It just is. You know, we have to show up all of the time, and even when we don't want to, and we have to look at the shit that we don't want to look at, and it gets real serious. So, can we have a light heart about it? Can we get a little ridiculous? Can we be playful? And so playfulness is huge for me, and it's a daily reminder, and that's what I dose myself with on the daily. So that one's actually the most important. I'm lucky. I have a 13-year-old son that is really good at the art of being ridiculous. So it's easy for me in my household to practice laughter and to practice not taking myself so seriously. So those are the 5 things that that I found help me live a joyful life even with pain. And so this is the question. This is what changed everything for me from being in this survival mode to thriving. So prior to me asking this question, how can I live a joyful life with pain, I was just always asking the question, how can I get better? 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 And that was actually killing me. It was totally killing me. I was like, panting through life, trying to figure out how to get better. And once I realized that two things can be true, that I can be ill, that I can have this injury, and that I can be healthy at the same time. I have this firm belief that within us, there's always health ready to access, no matter how confused we get, no matter how claustrophobic we get. I'm getting tender thinking about it. No matter how much despair we might feel, no matter how much pain enters our body, that we are born with an indestructible health that's ready to access all of the time. And so switching this question with how can I get better, because better is already there, and just asking how can I live joyfully even if pain's around, really helped me broaden my view and start actually healing finally. Because the question, how can I get better, was actually keeping me very much in fight or flight and survival mode. So, I hope, thank you, Anselin. It was really good to see your name here today. So I hope this was helpful to hear this morning. And I'd like you to just pause for a moment and just kind of notice from whatever you heard. There was an exchange between us hearing my story. Something may have landed with you, something may have rung true. And just kind of take a moment to feel what you feel in this very moment. And see what resonates with you right now. If there's something kind of sticking with you that you might be taking with you in your day-to-day. And if you feel like sharing, so that we may connect with each other, because I seriously feel that connection is the key. You could share a little feeling word with me. Gift me with a feeling word of what came forward for you listening to my story. And as you feel into that, I would like to leave you with a little homework. Hi, Chris. And the homework will be that when, grateful, thank you, Anselin. Today, when you find yourself in this mode of trying to fix things and find solutions, and in this kind of like spinny, I've got to find a cure, I've got to fix this, and you know that spinny feeling when we're just trying to find a solution. Take a moment, pause, stop whatever you're doing, take a big breath in, and let it go. And just feel your body for a moment. Feel the sensations in your body. And also take a look at your environment. Because whatever is happening in your mind is taking you to the past or the future. So just take a moment to remember where you actually are. Like right now, I can feel the warm sun on my face. I can feel warmth in my heart from sharing the story with you guys. And just for a moment, you could get out of that like little spinny loop and actually be present. And you may actually get a moment of insight instead of craziness of trying to figure out what you should do. So your homework is, when you find yourself in a loop, All you need to do is take a big breath in and out, feel your body for a moment, and notice where you actually are in space.